Sorry, Liz. I just completely forgot to press the record button.
It's
I was going
fine.
to say that. But yeah, everybody, we're recording this because some people have asked. But yeah, as Liz was saying, thank you, Liz, for that. We did an event last year in celebration of London Rivers Week, and we're going to be doing that again. And this is a pre-event so that some of you who aren't really aware of who Mami Osun is can know this. But I thought I'd actually open, whilst people might still be coming, with this prayer to Mami Osun, and it was written by our young brother Amusu Wuyemi. And yeah, I just thought you'd take it in so that we could bring in that energy and her force into the space. That's just an extract you're seeing. I'm going to be reading from a different sheet and try and read the whole thing. So is this prayers to Oshun? And I will switch it up. He's got me, obviously, because he was writing it, and I'll try and switch it up to us where I can do the plural. Hear us, Goddess Oshun. We speak to you from the energies of the Igungun. Iami ile udo. Obini sala ma'awu e. Your river ripples resonate love that can travel. It speak in its vibration with a sound so natural. The sound of your flow is the equivalent of how love tastes. Your life and the energy behind love's gates. We seek to feed you, but not just because we need you. But as we study life, we are aware we still need to read you. You can swim in our spirit. Communal love is what we exhibit. Oh, hear this lyric, vivid. We feed you grapes and hope your sweetness never escapes. We feed you yam to satisfy your smile to get with this program. We feed you plantains to let you know we bring no pains, and that our name brings a sweetness that warms inner flames. We feed you melons so we can use love as a weapon, brought to you in the form of a moral lesson. We feed you sugar so our love is pleasured with vigor off the Richter. We pour perfume so the blossom of love will surely bloom and not hide under a costume. For you will smell love in the room, which originates from your womb. We feed you peanuts so our love doesn't trip over like a klutz, but nibbles daily at perfection, no ifs, ands, or buts. And just so you know, when it comes to love, we won't whinge. Let this sweetness stem from the offering of this orange. There is the giving of the coconut, for we know the love you manifest cannot easily brook. Your spiritual gifts are traditional in its strut, embracing the drink of wisdom, not by luck, but by destiny. For we know our sacred secrets are sought by our enemy. So may only your wisdom of heart be sent to us to do work on this life odyssey. Accept our sweets, and may our legacy of love live on through your receipts, and not decease, but be release of joy, harmony, and peace. And lastly, let these flowers help us bring love back with everlasting powers, so Ubuntu can be ours. Iami ileodo, Iami ileodo, Obini sala ma'awu e, Obini sala ma'awu e, to the great Oshun, who does us many favors. Our offering is one we are sure has been in many prayers. But as we live life in love, we know we need to peel back many layers. Help us bless ourselves with love, so it's strong when we distribute it to our neighbors. We honor the river you flow in. It is your energy we want to glow in. You're needed. For when it comes to love, you're the all-knowing and forever showing. Your stream of serenity centers us, bringing us purpose as it enters us. We give you this offering so you may consume love and provide an energy of love that no one can shove. We thank the Egungun. We speak to you, Oshun. Bless our words, and our actions will be a manifestation of how your miracle occurs. Hear our words. Iami ileodo, Iami ileodo, Obini sala ma'awoe, Obini sala ma'awoe. My mother's house is the river. My mother's house is the river. All powerful one, Women who seek safety visit her often. Again, that poem was written by Amusu Awuyemi, and it was inspired by this chant that I kind of created, Iyami Ile Odo, for the Oshun River ritual a few years ago. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that said, I'm your host, Michelle Ya Asantwa. That's me there dressed as a convoy, or in costume rather, not really necessarily, but we're on our way here to go to honor Mami Osun at the river ritual that we do annually. And I am the author of these two books. Elijah, my first one, and there are some other books as well. I'm just trying to abridge what I do. So I do independent lecturing, I write, I do publishing as well, having co-founded Wive with Wordz, publishing, editing, and tuition, a multidisciplinary platform. And this book here, In Search of Mami Water, is really where some of these water spirits converge in this anthology that was called for and published in 2020. 19 is a long time ago now. But anyway, yeah, that's me in a kind of a quick nutshell. But you no doubt can look wherever you want to find me on the website, which is wavewithwords.com. I haven't actually put that here. Just to say again that this is a collaboration with London Rivers Week, and to show you this is grabbed from the Thames 21 website, and so you can actually go on that. It's thames21.org.uk, and it's showing on there. You can find all of the events that are taking place over the week, and really we urge you to get involved. I must say in this moment that I am pleased to now be one of the board members of the board of trustee members, Thames 21, which is phenomenal. I don't even know, somehow happened. It's a real honor to be that, so that I can do the work that I had been wanting to do, which is to make more impactful the link with the spiritual and the environmental aspect, obviously, of Mami Osun, make that link stronger, and also to add some level of diversity to the process and the movement of environmentalism, which has always been an aspect of African traditional spiritual practices, but has been forgotten and not really recognized. So do check out and support London Rivers Week. And just to say, in so doing, you can, if you haven't already booked to come to this event, which is again that collaboration, let me go back and see if that will work. Yeah, so this is on the 17th, and it will be really great. This is one we did last year, and we're doing it again to celebrate and honor. So it's a cleanup. You do a cleanup first, and then you will do the ritual offering. So if you go on Eventbrite, you can see the details for that, and do book and come along. And then this is the annual Oshun River ritual coming up on the 14th of August. I know there's a lot goes on that date. Sister Jackie, is anything happening your end for that? Because I know it's Haiti. I don't know if anything. You're muted. But... Oh, you're on the phone. She's on the phone. So
that we have seen that you had advertised the ritual, and we have dropped our date for the Haiti lecture back to the 21st.
Oh, right. I didn't realize. Oh, thank you. I didn't realize that it was going to be. Yeah, it would have made sense to be there because it's a Sunday. All right. Oh, thank you. That date, it's always like the second week in August. That's because it coincides with the annual ritual that takes place in Oshogbo, in Yoruba land, in honor of Oshun. And so we try and coincide with that. And it so happens that it will perfectly coincide. So if you want to attend that, you can do. But where does Oshun really figure in the grand scheme of things. And Oshun is an aspect of African indigenous spirituality, which is from the Ifa system, and that Ifa system is coming out of Yoruba. I didn't have time to even put that slide there, which would show loads of different versions of African indigenous spiritual systems. But just to say that this video will give you a little bit about the African spirituality, what kind of it entails, but it's just literally a smidgen. So just sit back and just listen to this just a minute.
One of these faith systems is Ifa, based on a blend of indigenous beliefs, legends, proverbs and songs. Although not officially recognised as a religion here, it has been practiced by the Yoruba people in West Africa for generations. At the heart of the UK movement is Dr. Michelle Yar Asantwa.
The Ifa system is a way of life. It's about the individual trying to understand themselves, to understand who they are, and to find their destiny and their path.
What have you seen happening recently, closer to home, here in the UK?
I've seen an increase in people wanting to practice African spirituality.
This belief system focuses on three components: Olodumare, the creator of heaven and earth, the ancestors, and the nature spirits, of which there are various gods and goddesses.
And Oshun is the goddess of healing, of fertility, of abundance, of love, of joy. So the individual might go to Oshun because they want those things to manifest in their life. We do a ritual where we go to the river to honor Oshun, and that has grown in interest, especially young people, very much interested in understanding and taking part in ritual.
Two of these younger members of the Ifa faith are Iola and Naomi. Both were brought up in Christian families, but have recently turned to a belief system they feel relates more closely to them.
Well, without a doubt, there's been definitely a very powerful paradigm shift throughout the globe. And I think people have just been so oppressed that they're looking for answers, looking for meaning, looking for belonging. And so with all the trigger and the trauma and the crisis, it's actually literally brought us to a crossroads where we're searching for answers. And that is leading some people to look deeper into their spirituality.
I've been affected by racism throughout my whole life. So when I'm being told to go back to where I come from, even though I was born here, it forces you to go, to ask the questions, to discover your background.
African indigenous spirituality isn't limited to pockets of devoted followers. It's very firmly making its way through to mainstream Western media and pop culture. Beyonce gave a nod to goddess Oshun, a river deity and goddess of femininity and love, in her album Lemonade. And Marvel Universe blockbuster Black Panther featured scenes where the protagonist meets his late father in their ancestral plane.
The revolution will be live.
But despite the resurgence of these faith systems, they don't have legal recognition as religions here. Hello.
Hello.
And Stephen Chan, OBE, Professor of World Politics, thinks there's a long road ahead before that changes. How do you see this kind of inclusion and acceptance developing in the future?
Anyone can claim to be spiritually enlightened and try to develop a following, but it's going to be like in many other places, like in India, for instance, where it's going to take some time for those who claim to be spiritually aware actually to prove that they've got something to offer their congregations. This process is going to continue, but the next key stage is development of doctrine and belief and organization that people find credible.
Only time will tell if Ifa and the many other spiritual beliefs now being embraced by a new generation are successful in gaining official recognition in the UK.
Okay, just some things to say on that last bit of that clip, because that's actually where it ended, is that can't remember his name, Dr. Professor Obi Chan. I don't know why he was called upon to be the expert on African indigenous spirituality, but unfortunately he blundered quite badly in what he was saying. And because I am part of another organization called CADIS, which is the Council of African Indigenous Spiritual Systems, Diaspora Indigenous Spiritual Systems, we sent a letter to the BBC after that to basically say that they needed to give us more time to discuss certain things. And actually, it was disingenuous of Dr. Chan to make those remarks and so on. We're an advocacy group. We're trying to elevate what is there. African indigenous spiritual system exists, and it has existed for thousands and thousands of years. So yeah, it was unfortunate that he made that statement. And just so that you can see what I mean by the fact that it's been there for years. This is some artwork that is around the sacred grove of Oshogbo, where Mami Osun has been declared this UNESCO protected area. But that is only recent. The sacred grove was there before UNESCO came along. And this artwork has only like in 40, 50 years been made aware of by an Austrian woman who encouraged people to go and make sure that it remains sacred. So this artwork you'd find all along this grove, just like we have our river here, which you'll see that the Wandle. Imagine all the way along there are these artwork carvings that represent Oshun. But this is from the UNESCO site, which is talking about the sacred grove and why they felt to protect it, because a lot of these groves, you used to have these sacred groves all over, but they are more and more increasingly being lost. So they sought to do this protection. And so they're talking about these artworks that was are used around the area to populate it. So in this middle part where they're saying the dense forest of the Oshun Sacred Grove is some of the last remnants of primary high forest in southern Nigeria. Through the forest meanders the river Oshun, the spiritual abode of the river goddess Oshun. I mean, we say goddess simply because that's the language that everybody uses and recognize. Set within the forest sanctuary are 40 shrines, sculptures, and artworks erected in honor of Oshun and other Yoruba deities, many created in the last 40 years. There are 2 palaces, 5 sacred places, and 9 worship points strung along the riverbanks with designated priests and priestesses. So people go there, and as I said, annually, for years, they have been going to this river because it's believed that river, obviously, just like with the Ganges, has life. And it needs to be preserved and protected. And where Dr. Chan was talking about there not being doctrines, there are what we don't have a Bible per se in African spiritual system. We don't have a thing that is like, oh, this is this organizing book that you go to. We have lots of, the Bible really is nature, if you want to put it that way. But this is what they call the Holy Odu, which has these verses that are quite old, loads and loads of these verses, wherein you would have examples of Oshun, Ogun, all of the Orisha, and the messages that they would bring to aspirants and practitioners in need. So Mami Oshun, you would recognize her by some symbols that you would see repeating. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. That's why you would say like her color is white and yellow. So sometimes she might just appear and you might just see somebody donning that color, just as people were able to recognize when Beyonce did that video that something was going on there. And not only did she do the video and she was wearing this flowing yellow dress, she also came out in one aspect with abundance of water. So those symbols, we would automatically, those of us who are in the tradition and who are aware, and knowing, oh, she's representing Oshun. And that will, in several popular cultural examples. And they all have numbers. I can't tell you why, other than I think some of them are to do with the days of the week of creation. Some of them, I believe. So her number is 5. So if you were going to be giving an offering to her, you would, and it was, let's say, money, you would give her that in multiples of 5, or if it was whatever the fruit is, you would give her multiples of 5, say. Day of the week she's honored in Yoruba, it's on Friday. That's considered Oshun's Day. I love these expressions of her in, like I said, people just dress up as that deity or goddess, in part because we don't really have any. I mean, some of us will recognize, like you have like Aphrodite, Venus, and all these European deities, but not the African ones, because we don't tend to have, we don't tend to see them. But a lot of us are reclaiming that. And then, of course, she also has this fan. She has a mirror and she has a sword, which I'll say something about as well. This mirror is like an artifact, this particular one here, from one of these museums. I can't remember now which, but this image is of a practitioner, probably not one from Yoruba land, because the tradition has migrated into the diaspora. This one is likely to be from, say, Cuba, I would think, because of the different elaborations of her. I would say that this is a practitioner from Cuba. I wanted you to just go through some of these. Look at this picture and see what you can pick out, and you could put it in the chat, and you can identify here, and then that way it focuses your mind on when you're thinking about Oshun now and you're seeing these symbols, you're able to recognize that, okay. Or if you're going to come, for example, to the ritual that we're going to do on the 17th, then these are some of the things you would bring. So what does anyone see in this image? Do you recognize? Oh, see, put it in the chat. Okay, yep. Bells, perfume, the fans, yep. The peacock feather, yeah, those are one of her signs. That is definitely honey, PB. Your PB, you're actually probably bright. All right, thanks, Serena. I'm just reading the chats now. I haven't seen them before. Yeah, she likes cinnamon. She likes these sweet things, perfume, and you know, the bells you would just ring as a way to call her. Who saw that bell? Oh, right, you saw the little bell. Because there's another that's a very little bell, but she has another type of bell that I have yet to get. And yeah, definitely honey. And so this was a display. We did a kind of a presentation on her, a live one, and everybody brought stuff to put on there. Definitely lots of fans, peacock feathers. What nobody has mentioned here is the cowries that are here, the cowrie shells, and then little statues of her as well. You haven't also mentioned lots of shells all the time. Money as well, so we give her money, and then she likes a bit of champagne, things like that. Lots and lots of yellow flowers, or not just champagne, you know, obviously red wine or sparkling wine, you know, because you can get your Oshun on in a particular day, especially a Friday, you know, you're sipping it, you know, your prosecco or whatever, and you just got your Oshun on, and then you just pour a little bit out for her. So yeah, So, and these are what they call Igbo. These are offerings. What can you see here in this particular offering, or these two? What did you say, Sister Jackie?
I say there's so much of it there.
There's so much.
Reminds me of last year.
Yeah, and this one was actually not even last year's. This one I think was like from probably 2019 or something. That's it. Coconut, sunflowers, plantains, yeah.
Passion fruit, sweet corn.
Passion fruit, very sensual passion fruit. Yeah, that does look like a guava. Yeah, more cinnamon splashed on, corn to do with abundance. Marion, you're right. The banana, the biscuits, they're all sweet. She loves sweet. She embodies sweetness. She embodies love, sensuality, all the things that, you know, like if you were having a rough day and you came home, she's like, oh, here, darling, here's some, you know, she wouldn't be speaking of that darling maybe, but whatever. And she just, you know, she would just love you up, you know, like how Sister Jackie loves people up. She hugs you and she embraces you, and it's just lovely and it's just nurturing, you know. Yeah, so and everything is abundant. It mustn't look like you're meager, because it's a reflection of you. Something else, when I mention reflection, what else can you see there? There's the mirror. Yeah. And I must say that the mirror, why do you think there is a mirror, or one of her symbols is a mirror? Anybody?
I think for me, it's about self-appreciation. It's about looking and admiring your own beauty and not being bashful about that.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And also to be
sorry, it's also about turning the mirror on others, because you see your own beauty reflected in the beauty of others.
Yeah, true. Very true. And also you can sort of reflect on your self-image in a way that is, am I being true to myself? Am I being true to my family, my community, you know, my children, the society? Am I being true to the world and the sacredness of earth and mothering and so on? How true am I being? Am I doing anything? Because some people get the vain thing twisted, but it's not about vanity. Because if it was about vanity, you wouldn't be looking deeply in the mirror. You wouldn't be looking into the soul of yourself. It would just be superficial. But really, it's everything you now do has to have a level of integrity around it. So you can't play that you're doing these things. You have to do them with integrity and full commitment. Okay, so I had written this blog post last year, I think, and I've kind of just slightly amended it so that I can read it for this process. I had called it A Calling for Love, Light and Life, which was around this ritual, or the annual ritual that we do for Mami Osun. So I'm just going to read from it, and this quotation that you see here will come into the reading at some point. So since I made the spirit-led decision to open the Oshun River ritual to the public some 5 years ago, it must be longer than that, I'm ever amazed by its growth. From my lone devotion to doubling with a priestess of the Orisha Oshun, to inviting individuals troubled in some way, spiritually, emotionally, or mentally, to lay their burdens by the river, we now see more than 100 visitors attending the opening to spirit ritual. The return to this natural force is directly linked to the growing need to restore the planet to balance, which is ultimately what Mami Osun symbolizes. This environmental aspect is found in the Oshe Otura, one of the holy Odu, as per that book that I showed you just now, from the Ifa system, whereby Mami Osun was sent to restore the world to order after a period of devastation. Oshun was one of 17 Orisha, meaning divine ones or manifestation of Olodumare, the supreme being, who descended to develop Earth. She was the only female among the other male Orisha. They considered her fickle, as she is a symbol of beauty, love, nurturing, fertility, sensuality, etc., and loves to adulterate herself, posing in front of her golden mirror. In other words, she is the essence of the divine feminine. As the earth was turning to ruin, Oshun overheard the other male Orisha commenting about her uselessness, considering her unnecessary to restoring the earth to order. As with most goddesses, being proud and naturally sensitive, she decides to remove herself from earth and let the other Orisha get on with it. While away, the sweet waters dry up, making it impossible to do anything. Build homes, create, eat, be healthy, nurture, love, all the thing that represents the divine feminine. Everything is made impossible by her retreat from the earth. Recognizing that their endeavors are failing, these selected divine ones return to Olodumare, complaining that nothing they tried to do to restore the earth is working. The supreme being observes that Oshun was not among them and asks where she is. Who needs Oshun? One of the deities, the Orisha retorts. Olodumare summons Oshun, who explained that they had insulted her. And they are forced to apologize, which they do. After accepting their apology and insisting that they never again insult her, Oshun chose to return to earth, ensuring its blessing, development, and sustenance from her sweet waters. The significance of this sacred reading is best summed up by Sister Louisa Tish here, where she says, to have Oshun leave us is a very dangerous thing. And we see it in things like fracking, what's happening to our water supply. We see it in the way that they are raping the queen bee. Honey is sacred to Oshun. We see it in the sex trafficking of children that's going on this planet. All of these things we read as signs that we done pissed Oshun off. That's why for the last 10 or 12 years, there have been priests all over the world going to the river, going to places where the river is dry and making offerings and begging Oshun to come back to us. All of this is about wanting to recognize the power of the divine feminine. Obviously, this is from a YouTube clip called The Archetype of Oshun and the Divine Feminine. And this video from which the quotation is taken was uploaded over 5 years ago. But we know, therefore, that it has been way longer than this reverence to the rivers, oceans, and seas, etc., that this has been taking place, especially in indigenous communities. They've been doing this a long time. But obviously, if there's only a few people that are doing this, then it's and all these other things that have been going on, then it's going to take it's going to need a lot more for things to change. So while we have sought to reconnect the power of the divine feminine, there has been a countering manifestation of anti-human and catastrophic environmental attacks on our planet by many world leaders who mislead their nations about what is vitally needed for its care and maintenance. And at the time of me writing, this was coming up to the G20 summit last year. What, for example, does the G20 purposefully do to ensure global economies develop equitably without primarily securing the continued dominance of the so-called superpowers? The industrialized economies care little about indigenous rights. It's true. And the development of these economies, G20 members are from these very industrialized and mostly developed economies. Do they seriously listen to those economies that need and use alternative methods of economic development that are environmentally harmonious? Do they? It's a question I was asking. Furthermore, if the UN receives most of its funds from any one of these economies, how vested is this body in establishing economic, social, environmental, and political equity for nations struggling to advance to the level of industrialization? I'm pointing to the obvious fact that Oshun, as a symbol of harmony, peace, fairness, creativity, nurturing, healing, and balance, has been missing from the hyper-masculinized, anti-environmental, capitalist, technocratic, and autocratic ensemble that comprise institutions like the UN and its subsidiaries and the G20. I mean, we can add to these the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, and on and on and on. These are institutions set up to represent, reflect, and embody the self-interest of the dominant world powers. If it were not so, the world would be a much fairer place, is my view. Instead of having the economic, environmental, and social disparities we keep seeing on the increase year in and year out. So what far-reaching good do these summits, as that one that took place last year, do that progressively impact the needs of the masses of the peoples across the globe? The strategy to evolve our planet must include around the table of discussion those communities whose lives are severely impacted by these unending disparities and who have relied on indigenous as well as technologically harmless advances to help heal this planet. Undoubtedly, the planet is bilious. I love using this word because it means what it's just like, you know, when your body inside is just sick. So this is the planet, and you have to have a washout like we did in the Caribbean. I don't know if we still do. It's bilious, a condition that was there long before the pandemic, but the rampant, blatantly authoritarian measures to reset this earth in a way that perpetuates an odious imbalance, create divisions, and demonstrate the continuing domination of multi-corporations and nations that have no regard for humanity. That's the reset function. Disease and destruction through biological, ecological, technological, and psychological war are signs of the relegation and dismissal of Mami Osun as a vital power source. Thus, the annual river ritual that we do in London is our call, our part in that grand call to Mami Osun to return to us and restore our lives and the planet to natural balance. Often overlooked is the fact that the Orisha Oshun is also a warrior, for she is a defender of the weak, innocent, children, women, disabled, the forgotten in society, etc., etc. And I wanted to show this beautiful image of a sister who is donning the ocean. She has that sword. I need to get a sword. I need to I'm thinking to myself, how can you get it? I'll have to try and make this. But so why is she a defender? What kind of a defender is she? Why the fan? Why some of these symbols? It is, I mean, like any mother, like a mother is a defender. A mother is a warrior. You know, a mother is a natural warrior. And this is a mother of the sweet waters. She's mother of fishes. She's a mother of the smooth waters. So anything that's going to ruffle that is going to be a problem for her. She's going to have to remind us of that power that she is. So we can come across and it's all like, it says she's a goddess of love and she's all sweet, you know. But get on the wrong side of that sweetness and you have something else. Hence the fan is also to temper her tantrums that she's likely to have when she's done pissed off. So she can make that water go smoothly. She can make the water recede, the vexation, and she could also bring that flood. It can just overflow. So it's about how do we perpetuate and enable her to have that continuous balance so that it is not out of kilter and it's, you know, this flood going off there. And when we see that happening, it's because we need to find ways to appease her, which is why we bring the offerings to her, so that she can re-establish that balance, re-establish that order. So she's a defender, fierce warrior and a fierce defender. I mean, you can't look at that sister there. You can't really be trying to mess with her, you know. The smile, and it's a lovely picture because look at that impish smile. Is like, look, you know, don't play. It's like, don't play. Yeah. Very, very powerful. So anyone who's thinking that, yeah, I would like to follow Oshun, you know, I'd like to follow her. She seems very sweet, you know, and nice and what have you. She's not looking for nice and sweet and what have you. She's looking for integrity. She's looking for fairness. She's looking at don't trouble my children. And don't trouble my planet, don't trouble my waters, because I'll trouble you. That's what that is saying. So this is about the annual Oshun River ritual that takes place. This is definitely last year's version, and this is the Wandle River, or part of the Wandle River. Where we do the ritual, and there you'll see brothers taking in this big offering that we do, like a community version, and then we do our own individual version as well into the river, and that's it there. And I've put in this connecting communities with the river just to emphasize that one of the reasons I got involved with Thames 21, and I give thanks to a young brother called Dilawa who you know, invited me to be part of some of the work that they're doing, trying to connect communities with their river. So we you know, we can tend to just walk past our river and not acknowledge that, you know, it is sacred. And a lot of the environmental work that gets done around the rivers or just generally tends to appear that it's just one demographic of people that care. And this is far from the truth, because principally the Orisha, they mean it's to do, they're forces of nature. So Oshun is river, Yimaya, another is to do with the ocean. You know, Oya is to do with wind and transformation, how the wind moves. Shango is to do with the thunder and so on. So all of them are really to do with nature, just in the same way that the other aspect of our tradition is from ancient Kemet, where you have the Neteru, who are again principles and symbols and concepts that are manifestations of the supreme being. But nature translates to nature. So a lot of it is to do again with nature and the cosmos and so on. So yeah, and in this picture you can see how we're working together as a community, and yeah, and it's just always a really joyful occasion, and I just thought you would like to see some of it. Yeah. We know that because I must have started playing this at some point. Yeah, so one of the things that we also make sure, sorry, that's quite meditative, that one, is that whatever the items are that we're going to put in the river, all of them are, you know, they're biodegradable. We feed the river, we don't pollute the river. We don't put plastics in the river, which is part of that environmental mission. It's and also to heighten our awareness around that, so that of course the river accepts our fruits, you know, we're building it up, but she's not going to be pleased that we've left the plastic tray in her. Yeah, so it's just for us to be aware when we're doing our offerings wherever we are, to do it properly. Okay, and I had mentioned that this is just to go on a bit more in terms of the reading, that the annual Oshun River, as I said, coincides with the 2-week-long Oshun festival in Nigeria. Ours is just one day, in honor of Mami Osun. It's heartening that devotees from around the world, this is to me, are joining this annual tribute to this particular Orisha of sweet waters. And that our ritual takes place in Morden Hall, where the Wando River runs, as I've said. In 2021, last year, we had the largest yet, with more than 100 attendees, comprising families, young and elder, from London and beyond. It's actually now in its official, technically, 5th year. We had to kind of call it a year and say, okay, it's probably been going more than 5 years, but let's say it's that. So I'm delighted by the pull and power of the river, calling each of us to embed our lives with the sacred rituals that are vital to the practice of African indigenous spirituality, ultimately. And Mami Osun is, of course, an aspect of Mami Wata, which is found throughout Africa and the diaspora. So this is showing you that ultimately it is about water, and it's about our protection, our reverence for water as mother, as life. And this is me donning an outfit that embodies Mami Wata element one random year, way before I knew that I was going to be writing a book or doing an anthology called In Search of Mami Wata. I just felt I needed to do this after a trip to Guyana. And I love this picture here of this sister that just enjoying, and it's a real homage to the power of water. So I say that although the ritual is a celebration and calling on the deity to sweeten our lives in myriad ways, it's important to acknowledge the environmental aspect of honoring the river. As a continuation of this celebration, this year, as I said, in London Rivers Week, we invite you to join us to do that river cleanup of the Thames, and then followed by this collective offering. And this will be the second year that we're doing it. So what my point is that, yeah, it's all well and good. A lot of us kind of like the whole nice bit, you know. We can just sing, and she loves music and singing and creativity and the beauty, and we can just do up our face and we can just fan ourselves and look all like that. But there is a deeper work that needs to happen, and that is the cleanup, the protection, and so on. So that's the core. Just to show you that from that book, In Search of Mami Wata, these are some of the expressions that some of the contributors did. I had issues, or have issues with my hard drive where stuff is stored, so I don't even have some of these images. But obviously I have the book, and these I just grabbed from video. Yeah, just different expressions of Mami Wata, God, water spirits, ocean, and yeah, and anything around. Some of them are like artwork, some of them are poetry, as in Brother Amusu's piece that I read earlier. And yeah, and just all in celebration of Mami Wata and Mami Oshun, Mami Yemaya, and so on. Okay, and in terms of protecting our rivers and actually the planet, I just wanted to show you what I mean by, we can walk by our rivers and we can take it for granted because it's just there, isn't it? It's just like a mainstay. But when I walk past and I see things like this in the river, I don't know what it is. It looks quite artistic in a way, but it's just a massive piece of, you know, cloth, or I don't know what material it is really, and it's just in there. And this particular area is by the area where we normally gather, where we usually gather. We won't be gathering there actually this year because we would have moved along to Morden now, but this is outside the Sainsbury's where we normally gather. This is like, there's a bridge there. And I came across this big thing that was thrown into the river. Sometimes it's actually obviously a lot of plastics. And sometimes there's a big trolley in there from Sainsbury's. And, you know, there are fishermen there that, you know, lots of things is going on. So part of the work that Thames 21 does, obviously, is to help to do the cleanups of it and to show communities how they can contribute to to protecting the rivers and participating in its care. And if we do so, you will get these miraculous things that happen. You will see the wildlife around it. So here is an example of the magic, you know, I'd like to call it the power of when you're honoring the river in a particular way. You get these glimpses of what the river really is supposed to be for. She's this hub and this home for nature. And so I don't know whether it's an egret or there's another bird that I can't remember. What's the other bird? But one evening after doing some river thing, we saw this, and that's me singing to her. And then, yeah, this is her again. And I started to see her a lot and I call her a her, because to me, these are manifestations of Mami Wata. These are manifestations of Mami Oshun, because we're honoring her all the time. We are saying, Mami, we want you to know that we love you. We want you to know that we recognize you, and show us your glory, show us your majesty, show us that you are, protect us. And so every so often you get these wonderful things. Like this is another one. Sometimes you just see swans, you see ducks just randomly appear, loads and loads of them just come appear, and it's just so beautiful. And recently started to see this huge goldfish and she lives there in this particular spot. And Liz, you saw this whenever it was that we met up a few weeks ago. You saw her. Yes, she's there. And I'll just play this. Look, there she is.
Finally, see you.
And you can hear how close the road is. the road is just here, and then there's this bit where the river Wandle is running along, and then there's this goldfish playing with these beautiful ducks, like about 15 or 16 of them that here, and she's just in her own element in the shallow water, just very near us. And even those fisher men that do their stuff, and she's managed so far to not be caught. Yeah, she usually just in this gravy bit here. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. She's just doing her dance. And so when we see these, we are like, yeah, those are Mami water symbols. So Mami water, Mami Osun, interchangeable. Whale, fishes, you know, these are all stones. And now it brings us to this river cleanup. This is the one that we did in October last year. This is us gathering at the location opposite Battersea Bridge, south side, where we get our boots and then we just go and do the cleanup. So as I said, you're welcome to join us for this next one that we're going to do. And these are some of the wonderful people that came last year. And that was, we're talking, it was cold. So this year, it was in October, I think. And this year it's going to be in July. So no excuses. And you don't have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to get there for 9 o'clock. This one, it will be at 1 o'clock. But it was amazing for us. These bin liners, you'll be amazed how quickly they piled up with a lot of gunk that comes onto the foreshore. Particularly heinous are the baby wipes that we just take for granted and flush them down the toilet, and they land in a pile up in this river. But anything, you know, that goes on. So yeah, we want to deal with that. This is just some of us after we had done the offering. It was such a beautiful day. And again, people tend to, it was anticipated that it would rain. It's going to rain, it might be cold, it might be that. And then you just have this sudden burst of sunshine, because of course, when you're giving reverence to Mami Osun, she's like, thank you, I'm just going to do this splash. So yeah, so that's where we'll be again. And I just want to leave you with this. So obviously, Mami Osun inspires a lot of popular culture, like the one that we know from Beyonce, but others. And this is just one that I think is quite nice.
You are dearer to me than all the stars. So many wish but never reach. Cause when I'm falling and all the world seems dark, you help me find my peace. In the still of the night, I lay listening to you breathe. People search for heaven all their lives. How lucky am I? Heaven's breathing next to me. Oshun mi ba vijani. Oshun mi ba, yeah. Oshun mi ba vijani. Arumi down, the sea has no answer for the depth of this feeling. I will love you in the heat of the morning and the cool of the night. How blessed am I to know you next to me. Oshun mi ba fijani. Oshun mi ba yeah. Oshun mi ba fijani. Haru mi down yeah
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. And I've got to thank Sister Nicole, Rochelle Moore, who supplied that video, or reminded me of that video actually to use here. And I just want to thank you for joining the presentation. It seems to have just flown. We can have a little moment where we can have a discussion. It's not really a Q&A, but we can have a discussion on your thoughts. Anything that you really feel that you need to say, that would be great. So, and those are just the information again about the upcoming events. All right, thank you. Serena, you've raised your hand. Do you want to say something? Do you want to speak? Do you want to unmute? I'm going to stop sharing a minute, if that's okay, so that I can see you all. Serena, yeah.
Yes, greetings, Michelle. Thank you for a great presentation. I have two questions, if I may. or points of clarity, please, if that's okay. Right. Yes, okay. Sure. The first one is the time of the ritual significant?
Which one are you talking about? The ritual in August?
Yes. So the time of day. So let's say on a Friday. Is there any time on a Friday?
No, really, it's not. I mean, no. If for example you had you'd gone to someone and they said, oh, you know what, something's missing, and you need to do an offering to Mami Osun, and you need to do it on a Friday, and you need to do it at that time. That's when you would do it at that time, because that's what they had been, that's what's been divined. But other than that, you can, I mean, remember Oshun is us as well, like all the time, just, you know, that we are aspects of all of these energies. So we just evolve it as we will. So no, the time is not, I mean, okay, a big thing.
All right, and the second question, well, or point of clarity, you use Mami Wata, Mami Osun, and Yamaha interchangeably in the discussion. Are they the same deity?
Again, it's difficult to call them deities per se. They all are expressions of the same force of nature, just which is water, which is creation. Yeah. So for some of us, we identify that as Mami Wata. Some of us is specific. It's like it's not just water generally. It's the river or the rivers. And for some of us, it's the ocean. For some of us, it's the depth of the water, the bit you can't see, and then that expression would be called Olokun in the Yoruba tradition. And then in other tradition, it might be Nun, which is the goddess of creation in the form of water in ancient Kemet. So that's why they're used interchangeably, because they're effectively speaking about the sacredness of water, but different areas refer to them either generally or specifically. Like, for example, in Ghana, we have Wata Mama. And a lot of Guyanese wouldn't know that that's the same as Mami Wata. Do you understand? It's the same thing. It's the same river or ocean that you go to and that you would pay homage to and what have you. Because the symbols are the same. The symbols work out to be the same. Like, you would offer them fruits. They might specify, like, Imaya might want darker fruits and what have you, because she's to do with the ocean, and her outfit will be different. You know, she's like blue and so on. But yeah, it's
great. Thank you.
Welcome. Sister Jackie, you're waving or wanting to say something?
You're on mute. I was also thinking in terms of water. It's the sacredness of water to birth and the continuation of humanity. And I think that that came to me. But I also, when you talked about the toxicity of our planet and that biliousness, biliousness is often associated with gluttony and overconsumption. And the need very much in this time for a spirit that balances that greed that we are confronted with in the so-called developed culture, because it is not at all developed. It's an assault on our humanity.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sister Jackie, for that. I absolutely agreed. It really isn't developed. It's actually regressing, and in some ways, but there are those of us who are trying to counter the effects of it, certainly. Mercy?
Hello, hi. Sorry, I couldn't introduce myself earlier. We start off by saying Aboye, Aboye, Abushishe to everybody here. I just have one question. I just wanted to know if this was being for the actual ritual ceremony, if that's being led by Ifa priest or an Isheshe initiate or an Ifa initiate.
Which one? Are you talking about the annual one?
Yes.
No, the annual one usually, I set that up with some others some years ago. As I said, I just used to go, and I'm not an initiate. So no, it's not done in that way. But there have been initiates participating in it throughout over the time.
Okay, thank you.
Marion?
Lafia, everyone. Blessings, and thank you for this wonderful presentation. It was really informative and really positive, and I'm glad to have found somewhere in the UK that I can congregate and celebrate the beauty of Mama Osun. So my question was, I was really glad you put on the event that's going to be next week, because I was having some childcare issues for the August one. Can you bring children? Because my youngest two are 5 and 8, and I'm coming from Nottingham on the train. So I was just wondering, logistically, would it work?
Oh, thank you so much, Marion, for that question. It's great. Bye, everyone who has to go. Of course, I think that would be perfectly in order. There are ones that I've gone to and I've seen children there. for both of the sessions, you can bring children. So yeah, I mean, it's quite safe. Last time when we went, it was a bit mucky, but this time it should be a little bit dry. But in any case, they put wellies on them, and children take to it quite well, because they get to pick up, mess. You just have to be careful with them. But yeah, you can bring children.
I would second that.
My
Sorry,
dupe.
Michelle.
Oh, Liz, I thought you were gone. So I was going to say, Liz
I was just about to head off, but thanks a lot for the great presentation. And yeah, just to second that, yeah, yes, you can bring children, and we'll give a health and safety talk before the event. It's safe, but it can get a bit mucky. So it's all about taking care when you're going down the stairs, and then not wiping your face or anything with the mud, because it's there's a Viles disease thing there, which we just advise not to touch your face or anything. But yeah, we'll give a health and safety talk before the event, but it should be fine.
Okay, thanks, Liz.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks a lot.
Thank
See
you.
on Sunday. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Bye-bye. No, we'll have gloves as well, so it's not like you're going to be touching anything that's like that. Flora, or you can bring your own everything. You can bring your own gloves, you can bring your own wellies and stuff like that. Yeah, but they provide them. Hi there, Flora. Thank you. You're muted, by the way. Oh, there you go.
Thank you so much. This is just amazing. I didn't know anything about Mama Osun, and I'm just very, very grateful to you for sharing this in a platform that's widely accessible. I'm a Thames mudlark, so we go down the river and pick things up, often sort of pottery and stuff. I realized one thing I come across a lot is cinnamon sticks, which I'm guessing are for Mami.
Yes.
For
Oshun,
yeah. So what if you find things that are offerings? I assume the correct thing is just to leave them there. It's a question that mudlarks that are always asked, or if they find something that's an offering that's plastic, obviously we remove it. It's normally, but I just wondered, how.
Yeah, thank you, Flora. That's a good question. So just to say that yes, in ecosystem, yeah, we're doing the offerings and so on, and more of us are doing the offerings and what have you. But the Hindus obviously also do a lot of offerings, and they would be putting, their icons in there. I personally would not take the offering. You can see the offering and take a picture of the offering, the item, but not necessarily take it unless you really feel compelled to. But like if I was in Guyana, I would definitely not be picking up any of the offering, because that's one of the things we're kind of like told. If you go by by the waterside and you see you see a comb or you see a whatever, don't pick it up. And that's because the legend, not the legend, but the myth goes that you will then be a child of Mami. Effectively, you're saying, Mami's gifted you this, and you're taking it, and then you will have to continue to come and honor her, bring her offerings, and so on. All in the bid to protect her, of course, and to have that exchange with her, to reconnect with her. But if you don't do it, in a spiritual sense, it's kind of like a neglect of yourself. If you look at it that way, you're neglecting your that connection and that way of potentially aligning with that higher self. So if you want to turn away, then just turn away and don't pick it up. But obviously, as an artifact and a collector's point of view, because we do have as Thames 21, there is somebody goes around and they photograph some of these, and you just could take the picture of it. You could probably hold it or whatever, but I wouldn't be trying to bring it home.
Thank you very much. It's a question just a lot of people ask when they come across the things.
Yeah, I wouldn't be trying to bring it home. I just wouldn't. Like, for example, I went not too long ago to this area, one of the areas along the river where I'd go, and I saw some beads around this tree, and very beautifully played there, and for that moment, I'm like, I'm connecting with that particular energy. I don't know which Hindu deity they were reverencing, but I'm for that moment, I can say, okay, that energy is having a connection with me, and I'm having a connection with it by the very fact that I've stumbled upon this, I've seen this. It's a symbol and it's a sign, and I could go away and I could read that and think, well, what is it trying to communicate with me? But to take the thing up and take it home and say, I'm gonna have this is a different story altogether.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think just everyone just wants to do the treat offerings respectfully, because there's a different class than the archaeological material. So thank you so much for clarifying that. It's really nice to be able to say I heard that from the next person. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Samantha, are you still there? Samantha, your hand is up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay. Thank you. That was a brilliant presentation. It was amazing learning more about Mummy Water. My question was that my intention is to attend the August celebration, but is it appropriate for us to make offerings to Mami Osun at our own local river? And definitely. If it is, it is, okay. And if it is August the best time, or can it be done anytime?
Anytime.
Okay, brilliant.
Anytime. Obviously, if for example, you can't, you want to go to the August one in London, but you can't for whatever the reason is, but you really do want to do an offering, well, then you could synchronize and go on that day, as some others I know have done. So you're kind of like reinforcing the energy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think that would be all in order. But you can go anytime. The river is not stopping. The river is flowing. Just anytime, anytime.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Well, if anyone else has anything or not, then I give thanks to you for joining us. And I do look forward to seeing some of you certainly at the on the 17th, sure, and then in August. Hey, Abena Craig, it's you. Look at where they hide behind the camera. You don't even know who is there. Hey, Sister Vanessa, how are you? You're muted. Thank you, Marion. Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
Greetings.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. My friend was ashamed of how untidy her bedroom is.
No, I'm not even watching that. I'm just looking at your faces.
Sure.
But yeah, oh no, that's wonderful. So yeah, you were in the house, so that's great. Definitely. And Brother Ola, who's just hiding behind the PASCF. Where's he gone? I mentioned it. Oh, he's come. Hey, look at that handsome fella. Unmute yourself.
How you doing, sister? You're long time no see.
A long time. It's ridiculous. It's a long time, man. But yeah.
Thanks for the presentation. It was very informative. And I love the word bilious. Is it bilious or bilious?
Bilious.
Okay. Yeah, sound like a billy goat. Yeah, rough and ready. Yeah, I like the sound of that.
No, thank you. Oh, well, that's great.
Wonderful.
Yeah. All right then. Well, you guys have,
Sister Jan.
Yeah, have a wonderful rest of the evening, and we'll see each other soon. Okay.
Thank you very much.
More love. Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Sylvia. Bye.